You're listening to The Bird Bath, presented by The Fountain Report. I'm your host, Ryan Leach. Welcome back to The Bird Bath. Each week, we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. This is a special week for me. This is actually our 1-year anniversary of the show. So I want to take a second before we jump into the news and everything to take a moment to send tons of thanks to everyone that's been a part of helping create the show, edit the show, make the show, put it together, promote it, and to you all, to the listeners. You guys combined have listened to over 170 straight hours of The Bird Bath. You're listening in over 50 countries, and we have now been ranked in the top 100 business podcasts in the US. That's something that was not even in my purview of ideas when we started this. So I want to thank you all. And if you want to give me an anniversary gift, what I will ask is just take a second, pause the show, and rate and review the show. It means so much. It helps us stay and continue to grow in these rankings so that more people can have the chance to hear what's going on in the industry that we love so much. So if you could take a second, rate, review it, and share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, share it with the person down the hall from you in the office or in the clinic with you, and let's keep growing what we're doing together. Now, let's get into it. Our top story this week is about a new genetic test that will eliminate a form of inherited blindness in dogs. Cambridge scientists have identified the genetic mutation that causes progressive retinal atrophy in English Shepherd dogs. It's an incurable blindness, and what they've done is figured out a way to be able to pinpoint this with a simple swab of the mouth to be able to allow folks to skip breeding of dogs with this genetic deformity. Progressive retinal atrophy, or what they call in the study PRA, it's a group of inherited diseases that cause progressive degeneration of the light sensitivity cells at the back of the eye. Dogs that have it are born with perfect sight. They can see great, everything's perfect there for them, but by the age of 4 or 5, they go totally blind and there's no treatment. So the scientists at University of Cambridge have identified the genetic mutation that causes it, and they've developed a DNA test specifically for that. The goal here is to put out a way for people to be able to swab their pets, or especially people that are breeding these dogs, to be able to swab them and know when there is that occurrence of this genetic mutation so that they can find out prior to the age 4 or 5 when most of these animals have already bred. The scientists are extremely hopeful that within just a couple life cycles or a couple generations of breeding cycles, they'll be able to eliminate PRA from the entire English Shepherd breed. The wild thing when I looked at this was the scientists put out a call for DNA samples. They had a couple owners that came to them and said, please help us with this. And they took these samples and they were able to just get 26 samples, 6 of them with PRA and 20 without. And that was enough for them to be able to pinpoint the genetic mutation. And then they were able to do an entire genome sequencing. So that just blows my mind. They did it in collaboration with Wisdom Panel and Mars Pet Care, as well as the Consortium to Research Inherited Eye Disease in Dogs. And they had funding from the Dogs Trust and the Kennel Club Charitable Trust. So this was really cool. The other really special thing about this was that this was the 23rd thing that these scientists have found through DNA sequencing. So it continues to be a fast-growing place. I know a lot of times we talk about the technology and the business, but this is a really cool, low invasive level of way that we can actually improve the lives of the dogs that we love. Petco has announced a new CEO. Joel D. Anderson is the new chief executive officer at Petco, the retailer and the veterinary care provider. Now, it's been an interesting year for Petco already. In March of this year, they announced that their CEO former CEO, Ron Coughlin, would be stepping down, and they brought a board member and former Best Buy executive, Mike Mohan, to take over as the interim CEO. And he was in there and continuing operations for them until they completed this search and ultimately hired Anderson. Anderson comes with a pretty interesting background. This is his first step into the vet industry or the pet care industry, which has been kind of common for the CEOs of Petco previously. But he was most recently the CEO of Five Below, and he brought the company from 366 locations to over 1,500 stores. He launched their e-commerce site. He was overseeing them as they optimized operations. And the wild thing is he oversaw revenue growth from $500 million to more than $3.5 billion. So I can see why Petco wanted to bring him in. They've had difficulty in the past couple years, or in the past few years, that they've had a storied past of going public, then private, then public, then private, and they're public again. So bringing in someone that has this depth of background like Anderson should be an interesting person to see if they can turn around the tides at Petco. So best of luck and welcome to the industry. Another person or another group coming from outside the space and entering the vet world is Surescripts. Surescripts has expanded their e-prescribing to veterinary medicine. They put out a big press release, and I am always trying to learn more about e-scripting. So if you want to hop on a call and explain it to me, please do. But their new Surescripts e-prescribing service is going to be utilizing what they call the latest and greatest versions of their software. And it's using what they call the latest standard to ensure a medical reliable system for transmitting pet medication. So the press release had a lot of information about the data behind it and the mechanics, but Kat Thorpe, who's their vice president of product commercialization, said this means participants in the Surescripts Network Alliance who complete their e-prescribing upgrade and add e-prescribing for veterinary medicine will gain access to trusted, advanced prescribing tools that emphasize better quality care and prioritize patient safety. It's something that I know a lot of us have been wanting to see, and e-scripting is a hot button issue. Not a hot button issue, but an important topic for a lot of people, and it's a way to hopefully bridge the gap of care and access to care. I know some companies within the space are tackling this. You've got Instinct Scripts, you've got Furscription, you've got Pet Hub RX. So a lot of people are coming at this, but it's interesting to see finally someone from outside the space as well jump in and take it on. Big tech news or tech adoption news. More than 385 veterinary hospitals owned and operated by CVS Group in the UK and Australia have taken the step to do a unified practice management software strategy. They have signed on and transitioned and completed the transition, that's the key point there, to Provet Cloud's practice management software. Now, Provet Cloud is a company owned by Nordhealth out of Europe. They are growing their footprint here in the US, but they've got a huge footprint overseas. And they have done something that is pretty difficult, and CVS Group has done something that's very difficult as well. They together have rolled out a unified PIMS strategy. CVS Group's Director of Innovation and Transformation, Graham Dodd, said, from the very start of our partnership through implementation at each of our clinics, the Provet Cloud team provided strong support, responded quickly and thoughtfully to any roadblocks, and ensuring that practice staff are set up for success. It's a ringing endorsement. I know that these types of structures and putting together and rolling out a PIMS, which in my view is the heart and soul of the software stack and the technology stack of any practice, is huge. And being able to roll this out at such a large group like CVS Group is an incredible accomplishment. I know that there's practices in the US that are looking at these sort of things as well, and practice groups in the US that are looking to do these sort of things. So it's exciting to see someone of CVS's scale push this out across the UK and Australia. Whenever we look at the trends of the market and what's happening, I always look to the UK market's consolidation and their history of consolidation to see what's coming next. They're at a I believe, upwards of 75% consolidated of private practices there. And then they come across antitrust laws. They come across non-compete type issues. They've now are beginning to be more excited about rolling out a unified PIMS strategy. So if we look at that, it can be an interesting guide for us to understand what to expect as the playbook here in the US. So I'm a big fan of when groups roll out a unified PIMS. I think it's something that allows them to be much more actionable. I think it allows their staff to have better communication between practices, and it really does unify a lot of the things that are happening in the business. So congratulations to CVS, congratulations to Provet and the whole team. I know that was probably no small feat to bring that together. Finally, if you are not going to be in Kansas City in August, you are going to be missing out on probably a bit of everything that's happening in VetMed. So the 2024 Animal Health Summit, which is hosted by the KC Animal Health Corridor, is going on this year, August 26th to 27th. It's a spectacular event. It's going to be my first time going, but I've always heard wonderful things. And the 2-day conference is a really special event. So it's bringing together a different side of the space. There's obviously conversation around companion animal and small animal, but it's also melding in the massive importance of feed animal and agriculture and ag animals into the broader conversation here. And the team at the KC Animal Health Corridor, I had an awesome chance to sit down with them and just talk about what the event is. And one of the big things that they highlighted was the business partnering. So if you register, and you better register quickly because the business partnering just opened on Monday, July 22nd. But what they do is they give you the opportunity to set up appointments and meetings with other companies that are attending and other people that are attending. It's pre-scheduled meetings, so it allows you to go and not have to do those odd LinkedIn messages that we all do saying, hey, want to meet for coffee? So it adds some really cool structure. It brings together an additional networking element to it. And it's something that, I really think people should check out. I'll make sure that there's a link in the bio. You want to register today because right now meetings are getting booked. I know I've already sent out a bunch of my meeting requests, and it's something that every single day, the closer that you get to the end of August, the more that those meetings will fill up. So make sure to check it out. It's going to be an awesome event. I will be there. The whole team from Intelligence is going to be there. There's some really, really incredible speakers. And make sure to check it out. For one final time, I just want to take a second and thank all of you for listening. This has been a really special year doing this show. It's been 52 weeks in a row, every single Tuesday, getting this show out to you all. And it's something that means a ton to me. And for more on these and other stories, make sure to join us by subscribing to the Fountain Report. There's always a link in the bio. And don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For the Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week.